my duckies? Welcome back to the Boston Nation, the best you love or you hate. How's it going, everybody? Say hi.
What's up?
What's up? So, it's been a while. This is our new YouTuber here, known as The Truth, trying to get his shit going. I won't say I'm a mentor. I'm just like that person that's just there and waves saying like kumbaya. But enough about me. We're here for the Paleozoic, the frogs, the gay, totally awesome, the bullshit. What do you have to say about that?
I say, listen, I've gone undefeated with this deck countless of times. I've seen Paleozoic videos, deck profile. I think I've seen like every single Paleozoic video and deck profile out there. I have to say, I feel like I've comprised the best Paleozoic deck, and I know there's a lot of good Paleozoic decks out there, but I feel like this one is like key. And if you want to go undefeated at your locals and even take this to regionals where this thing is even topped to a certain extent, definitely follow my deck profile if you want to be a winner.
And let's start the deck profile by looking at the deck. Not his balls, the deck.
Bruh. Alright, we're going to jump right into it. Just going to move this stuff to the side. Okay, so first off, we're going to jump right into the main monster of the deck. The bread and butter. The 3 swamp frogs.
They're ultra.
And ulti, thanks to the Boston Nation. So basically, for those of you that don't know what this does, this card has 3 different effects. First effect, when it's summoned, so normal or special, it can dump 1 frog monster from the deck straight to the graveyard. Its second effect is that you can bounce this card from the field back into your hand. And its third effect is that you can target any monster, doesn't have to be a frog, and bounce it back to your, well, that goes with the second one. You can bounce it back to the hand, and you get an additional normal summon.
Gay?
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be a frog. It could be any monster you have on the field. But, yeah. And as far as the foolish effect goes, you can also send a face-up, I think a face-up aqua monster from the field to the graveyard as well, if you don't want to dump from the deck.
Yeah.
So he's just overall the bread and butter of this deck, and he's literally, without this card, this deck just wouldn't be what it is today.
Next ban list, banned.
Yeah, okay. I used to believe in fairy tales too.
Right?
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next best card in the deck. The ultimate, but yet his sidekick in crime, Duke Frog.
He has a college degree.
Duke Frog, its effect is when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you are able to add 1 frog monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. This card can miss timing if it is linked or synchroed with, because that's not the last thing to happen. Well, the last thing to resolve. It has to be the last thing to resolve. So if it's like destroyed by battle or card effect, obviously that's the last thing to happen because it dies, so therefore you're able to get the effect off.
Don't mind the people upstairs, guys. Damn Dominicans.
The last 2 frogs in the deck is the 2 Rototoads.
Ooh, only 2.
Yes. I've tried the third one. I'm not really a fan of it. When I first started to make toads, I did try the third one. It wasn't really good because of the fact that there was times where I literally just only opened up with this, and it was literally just such a pain. Like, I mean, yeah, it has a 2000 booty, but you know, you never want to see this in your hand necessarily. Like, you can make it work because your Paleozoic cards support it, and it can disrupt your opponent on his turn, but you never want to see this card in your hand first turn. It's better to just dump it. Or if it is in your hand and you do have a swamp, you know, discard it to special summon it.
So it's better to foolish that.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Or if it's a swamp and this in your hand, you can make it work. You are guaranteed first turn totally awesome.
Totally do.
And for the last monster for the lineup, and yes, I do run the spellbook engine. Blue Boy. So there's a lot of people online that have different ratios for this card. I've tried it at 1, I've tried it at 2, I tried it at 3. 2 for me seems to be the most consistent because I either would pitch 1 and then use the second one for the spellbook engine, Also, it can be recycled back when Totally Awesome has left the field by any means. So if it dies by battle, card effect, even Kaiju, it still gets its effect. If it touches Graveyard for any reason, it still gets its effect to recycle this back to the hand. Mm-hmm. So even, beginning of the game or even late game, he's still good. He's like an instant draw 2 late game if you can get his effect off correctly.
Perfect.
And for the spell cards, we're going to go 3 card demises. Now, I've seen a lot of Paleo decks that don't run this card. I have no idea why you would not run this card. This card is literally... This card is like the best thing ever, especially if you're struggling and you top deck this card. Like, you just drew it to God. Like, you're drawing 3 cards. But yes, it does. I heard a lot of people say, well, what about the restriction? You can't special summon. You have to dump your hand on the interface. That's fine. That's why you run. That's why the majority of this deck is like 90% trap cards. Because it doesn't matter. You're going to set regardless. But the reason I do run 3 is because it is good. I've literally top decked with this card and came back on my opponents so hard. It's crazy. Yes, you can't special summon, but that's why you have traps. Your traps are supposed to be there to protect you for that reason. And anyone not running card demise in their frogs is insane. They're crazy. They're crazy. I'm sorry. You're crazy. You're insane.
What are you doing?
And especially in the Kaiba box, these things are getting a reprint finally. And they are coming secret. So I suggest any frog players or any true Draco players out there definitely pick these cards up because they're just amazing.
It's amazing. So amazing.
They are amazing. And for the next 2 cards, I run 2 Pot of Desires.
Pot of Stupidity.
I've had some good times with this card. I've had some bad times with this card.
We all know.
The only reason, I'm going to be honest with you, the only reason this card is in this deck because this is a 50 card Paleozoic deck. And for a 50 card Paleozoic deck to just trample over, go undefeated, and 2-0 every opponent that I've gone up against is insane. Like, it doesn't hurt to use this card in a 50 card deck because there's no way in Sam Hill that you're going to banish all your frogs. There's no way. Statistically, there's no way to do it. So it's like, to thin out the deck for 50 cards, you gotta run Pot. You have to.
Just do it.
Pretty much. Shia LaBeouf said it best. For the next 2 cards, Spellbook of Knowledge. You're gonna run this with the Spellbook, of course. I run 2. I've seen people run 1, but like I said, late game, you're gonna recycle it back with Awesome. I'd rather have 1. And yes, it hurts to open up with this turn 1, but sometimes you just gotta fight through it because my traps, when I get to them, are pretty powerful. And trust me, they're definitely gonna keep you in the game. You're not gonna lose with this deck. You're gonna have a lot of resources, a lot of outs. It is what it is. If you draw it, then I guarantee you the rest of the cards in your hand are definitely gonna make up for it. So don't feel bad if you draw this card. For the last 2 spell books, I run 2 secrets. I found 2-2-2 is definitely the best ratio. I've seen people run 1-1-1. I can't really say much about that because everyone plays different. Everyone has a different play style. Everyone sees things differently. For me, as a Paleozoic player for over a year, going on 2 years now, it's literally just. It's like, why wouldn't you, It searches out either the secrets or Blue Boy, so, let's get it. And for the last spell in the deck, Regeki. I used to run Dark Hole back in the day. I took it out because this deck is so explosive with its monsters to the point where if I don't open Dark Hole turn 1, I basically won't need it because I'm gonna have at least 4 to 5 monsters on this board, and there's no reason to Dark Hole because either my opponent's just gonna flat out lose that turn, or they're not gonna be able to get over my board. Especially if you lock them out with the dupe lock, it's like, come at me, bro. So I do run one, but we're going to talk about Dark Hole a little bit later. And now to move on to the main event, the bread and butter, the 90% of this deck.
All traps.
All traps, baby. All traps. So we run in 3 Candida. Best trap card. This card's good because it's a trap card, book a move. So target one monster, book it face down. So this is good for especially interrupting plays. It's not so good against link monsters, but again, you could always interrupt your opponent from even going into the link monster. Like if you know your opponent's about to summon a monster, go into an XYZ or a link monster, sacral, fusion, ritual, book it face down, take care of the problem. Or let them bring it out, book that face down, and now they just have a monster, ass first.
Everything except the link monster.
Pretty much. And that's fine. You don't need to book it.
Tell them because some people may not know that those are also monsters.
Forgot to tell you too. They also have another effect for people that don't know what Paleozoics do. If they're in the graveyard, whenever a trap card is activated, either on your side of the field or your opponent's side of the field, they are resurrected from the graveyard. So that is just like the best part about this deck. That is what makes this deck. So, trap cards, see this is a 90% trap cards, you won't have any problem bringing these back to the graveyard at all.
And aren't they level 2, right?
And they're level 2, so
water.
Going right into and water. And the best part about them is that they're unaffected by monster effects. So they can't be Ghost Ogre, they can't be Ash, and they can't any monster that would like blow up the field, such as like Bomber, no effect. But we're gonna get into that combo a little bit later. So we also run 3 Orlanidis. This card's good. It's a MST for the deck. Target one, spell a trap card, pop it. Same effect, unaffected by monster effects, and it can be resurrected back for the graveyard. Next, this ratio is a little different. I know a lot of people have a lot of, hate towards this card for some apparent reason. I have no idea. I run 3 Dynamiscus. I run 3 because I look at it like this. Even though the discard hurts, well, I wouldn't even say hurt this deck. It's a lot of people don't want to pay the discard, but I look at it like in the long run. You're paying to discard 1 card to take care of a big problem on this board. Like, I'd rather have this and deal with the problem than not have an out to a card that they play and then suffer because I don't have this card. And 9 times out of 10, the discard doesn't even really hurt because you have so much draw power in this deck that it's going to be almost impossible for you to not have a card in your deck. But we're going to get to the 2 cards in this deck that's going to help you really much. Well, Blue Boy's one of them. We already got to him. But there's another trap card in this deck that's going to help you. I also run 2 Morella. A lot of people don't run this card. I have no idea why. They don't like it because it's not reactive. It's not fast enough compared to the other Paleozoics. I say you need to run this, especially since mine is a 50 card. I need to see as many Paleozoics in this deck as physically possible. This card can dump 1 trap card from your deck to the graveyard. And I'm going to explain why I run this card in a few seconds. And for the last Paleozoic, I've never seen anyone run this.
Who is it?
More than one. Lucigenia? Yeah, Lucigenia. Yeah, he does have a weird name. They're all based on drugs. I don't know if you noticed that.
No,
all the
most of them
Paleozoics
are prehistoric creatures. No?
They are based, if you look up, they are all based on drugs.
Oh, well then.
Like literally all of them are based on drugs.
Oh no, it's the XCs that are based off of the prehistoric monsters.
Yeah. What this one does is you target 1 banished card from your opponent or your banished pile and recycle it. Why this card is so good, it's a combo extender, but most importantly, this card can recycle something even if you demise it. So let's say, for instance, I activate card of demise and I banish both my Rotototens. I'm able to put 1 back into the graveyard. So there's really no reason to not run this card. It's really good. And even if you're going against an Omega player, if you hit Omega once it's banished and send it to the graveyard, Omega doesn't come back. And the best part is you get your card back. Omega stays in grave. So it's a little, it's pretty good. I like it. It's a combo extender. It works real good, and especially it fuels your rodent totem to banish more frogs. For the next traps, I made these because this card, especially fighting the meta, you need as much firepower as you possibly can. Anti-spell fragrance shuts so many decks down. So many decks. You tell me what deck doesn't run spell cards, unless it's an all-trap deck. Like 98% of this game is someone's running a spell card. I haven't seen one deck you tell me that they just don't have any spell cards in there. Impossible. Especially pendulums, which is currently the meta right now. It just stops them in their tracks. It hurts them so bad. To open up with this turn one, what are they doing? They're either going to set back row, search, and then that's it. Ain't setting scales today, my boy. Next two cards. Two Torrential Tributes. I was a little iffy about this card, but I realized after using this card the true potential that it has. Torrential is so good because sometimes you don't always have a board established, and especially if you're going first and let's say you wasted your normal summon on Blue Boy to draw 2 and now you can't summon a monster. Having this face down, you have nothing to worry about. You let your opponent go off, summon all that, goodbye. Thanks for playing. Or especially, let's say you establish board and your opponent somehow gets around it and then they try to come back at you, establish their board, sit it down. So this card is really good. A lot of players scoop to this card. Especially, they get hit with this card, it hurts. It hurts a lot. Especially if they go into their lakes, exceeds, fusions, sacros, rituals, like it hurts. And if they don't have an out to it, it just, it is what it is.
Doesn't hurt BA.
Oh no, it hurts BAs, whether they want to believe it or not. 2 lost wins. So back on Morella, the Paleozoic card I was telling you about earlier that dumps a trap card, this is the reason why I run him. Because dumping this is good. It's like having 4 lost wins in your deck. For those of you that don't know what lost win does, is when it's activated, you target one special summon monster, negate his effects, and cut his attack in half permanently. His effects are negated permanently, his attack is cut in half permanently. And the best thing about this card too is that when your opponent summons a monster from the extra deck, you set this card from the graveyard back into your spell and trap card zone. So it's basically having the equivalent of 4 lost wins in your deck. So that is why I run Morella, and that's why I feel like every Paleozoic player should be running Morella. Especially if you're running the lost win build. Especially. There's no reason why you shouldn't. People feel like Morella's slow. I say it's literally the right speed. And not only that, Morella gets the party started. Because without Morella, if you don't draw into the Paleozoics, what you gonna do? So you can easily dump lost win or dump another Paleo and get the party started.
Indeed.
And for the best trap card in the deck, 3 Reckless Greed. I've seen players recently on their deck profiles drop this card because they feel like it's a neg. I don't feel like it's a neg. I feel like it's only a neg if you play this card at the wrong time. This card can help you or this card can hurt you. It literally all depends on when you activate it. People get reckless or they set reckless face down and they don't know when to activate it. I'll tell you exactly when's the right time to activate this card. You never want to activate Reckless Greed just because you feel like drawing 2 cards. You only activate this card on your turn. Unless your opponent forces you to activate it by popping your back row, that is the only time. Well, actually not even. Depending on the situation of your board and what's in your hand and what you have face down, you have to make a conscious decision. Draw 2 and possibly plus a Paleozoic from the graveyard to special summon back to the field, or let it die and don't worry about the deck. Because if you activate this, especially one by itself, and you draw 2 cards that aren't useful to you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a hard time or you're going to flat out just lose. Trust me, I've had it happen to me way before I actually realized how this card can make or break you. So I would not activate this just anytime I feel like. Only activate this card when there's absolutely necessary to activate it. It's just like TT. TT blows up my side of the field too, but you gotta know when to activate your cards. You gotta know when is a good time and when is a bad time. You can't just activate it just for the hell of it. Because doing that, if your opponent has more plays to get around it, or they have more options, then you just fucked yourself over. So just knowing how to play your cards is always beneficial. I also run 2-story Mirror Forces. I was running it at 3. I dropped it down to 2 because I feel like at 2, it's just amazing. It gets over everything, especially late monsters. It just sends them back. You don't got to worry about the hassle or the effects of like Mrs. Radiant, having an effect to recycle one. Like, you ain't got to worry about the grave effects. You just send it all back and your opponent just literally cries. Especially, I love using this card, especially when they set up board and they think they're just going to beat the hell over my frogs, and then they just, oh, surprise. And then you just sit there and ask them, hey, do you just have anything in response to you? They just like, no. I was like, oh, okay. Paleozoic from the graveyard, chain, special. And they just sit there. So that's always a good card to go into as well. And I've also just put this in 2 Mirror Force.
Ha! Shout out to Revolver for brains.
I run this card because after watching the YCS regionals that just happened the other day, I realized that people fear this card so bad. Like, I've seen people lose just for the fear that a Paleozoic had this in their deck. Like, people were playing so cautious in YCS over the fact that the guy didn't even have a Mirror Force. That's the funny, but they thought he had Mirror Force in his deck, and they played so cautious. And it was just like that amount of fear that you put in somebody for just assuming someone has this card in their deck.
Insane.
It's amazing. It's even worse thinking that they don't have it and they get hit with it, and then you just sit there like, who the hell runs Mirror Force?
Yeah.
What kind of psychopath are you? So definitely run Mirror Force. I would definitely run it.
It's the OG himself,
definitely.
Man.
And for the last traps, I run the Solemn Brigade.
I'm a renegade. No warning?
I thought about warning. I thought about it long and hard. I took it out. Why did I take it out? You pay a substantial amount of light points in this deck. I didn't want to overdo it with warning. Now, people might think, oh, you're crazy. Why would you put warning? What if you get hit with Dako Seka? That's just a risk you just got to take sometimes. And if they do summon Dako Seka, this is literally the equivalent of a warning. So it's like, you know, just has a little bit more versatility. I hated this card. I hated Judgment so bad. I told myself I would never put this in my deck. Why the hell would I pay half my life points for some bullshit?
I tell you, that shit saves lives.
But then I realized, late game, especially late game, when your life points are down, paying half.
You can still pay half when you're at 100 life points. You can live with 50. It's insane.
And especially if you hit the right card and you know your opponent can't recover.
Yep, checkmate, dude.
Pretty much, he said it. Checkmate. That's literally how it goes. But it all falls into how you activate your cards, when you activate your cards.
That's why this card was banned for a long time.
Whenever you play it, you gotta think to yourself, is this a good move? Should I respond now? Is this gonna benefit me next turn? Is he gonna stop his play? Think. Because a lot of people, especially at YCS, I've seen a lot of mistakes made that people were doing, and it's just like I feel like people get nervous when they duel, and you just have to take it one step at a time. Like, you can't just do certain things because you're afraid of a monster. Like, sometimes you gotta let your opponent summon a big monster and hit you,
take that shit like a man.
Just take it, just for them to set up for another play next turn and then screw them over. So that is why I run those
cards. Take
it
like a real nigga.
Yeah, well, so was that too. Okay, we're gonna move over to the extra deck. And then we're going to move over to the side deck. All right, so for the extra deck, we get a little spicy here. Decode Talker, run one of, because you know, sometimes you just need something bigger than totally awesome to get over those big monsters. And the fact that, you know, they Twin Twister to negate anything that targets. One Proxy Dragon. People ask me all the time, why do I run Proxy Dragon here? I literally make Proxy Dragon every single duel. Like, I kid you not.
Yeah.
I make this card every duel.
Everyone keeps forgetting why Proxy Dragon.
And it's like, people are just like, oh, well, how do you make Proxy Dragon and Frogs? Like, the amount of monsters that you spam on your board, if your opponent doesn't stop you by, like, the second turn that Toad is on this field, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have a hard time with it. They're just going to flat out lose. Especially going against me. You sleep on my deck, you going to be in for a big surprise. I also run one Topological Bomber Dragon.
Bomber Dragon!
Why I run this card and why this card is so broken in this particular deck is because Bomber Dragon's effect is if a monster is special summoned to one of his link monsters, even the opponent's side, 1, 2,
any
3,
links
4.
Any link points.
So if I special, let's say, where is it? So let's say I special Candida from the activate a trap to disrupt my opponent going off on his turn. A special Candida right underneath. His effect goes off. It blows up the entire field, my side or your side. But the thing is, the Paleozoics don't die because they are unaffected by trap cards. So I just summoned a monster, blew up inside the field. Now I have a Paleozoic and a Topological punching for 42. That's more than half of his life points right there. That's saying if he was at 8,000. If not, then that's pretty much his game at that point. That's why that combo is so broken, because they don't die by the blow up effect. Next, we run 2 Starboy. I did run it at 3. I realized I don't need it at 3. I feel like 3 was a little much, because 9 times out of 10 you're not going to make 3 in one duel. You're not. The fact that it can recycle if it dies by battle card effect, like, it's an endless loop that you can do. So there's no reason why you would need 3 in this deck. I mean, I see people run 3. I feel like 3's a stretch because they recycle. So it's like, why would you need a 3? Next, I run this little thing, number 45, Lagos. His effect is, once per turn, I can detach one, target one face-up card on the field, negate his effects. The thing that this card has actually saved me duel from, especially like floodgates, that it's on the field, it basically turns them off, and you're able to go through with your plays. And he's a big beater, 22 attack, not too bad. And for the star of the deck, 3 totally awesomes. You gotta run 3 because it's totally awesome. It negates anything. It's literally an out to every card that they play.
Enough said with his ass.
Its recycling ability, once it leaves the field, to recycle one water monster, either Starboy, a Frog, even Blue Boy. Bring it back into the hand, set up for your next play next turn. 1 Opalmania. I was running it at 2. I trimmed it down to 1 because at the end of the day, again, Toad recycles any water monster. Starboy recycles any monster. You have 5 monsters in your extra deck that recycle. So it's like, you know, you're going to have it. So, you know. And for people that don't know what Opalmania does, it detaches 1. If it has a trap card underneath it, searches for any Paleozoic trap card, and you can activate it from your hand. These monsters are unaffected by monster effects. And they're just, so your opponent, don't worry about your opponent ghost ogre you, ashing you, not going to do anything there. Paleozoic, I have no idea what his name is. Alright, we're just going to call him Carlos right now. I'm not even going to sit here and butcher his name like that. So Carlos here, I'm not going to sit here and butcher this man's name. It takes 3 monsters to make him 3 level 2s. I would usually do like 2 frogs and 1 trap card. His effect, if he has a trap card underneath him, Detach one during either player's turn, pop a card on the field. And what makes this card so broken that I wasn't using his other effect, if a trap or spell card leaves my side of the field for any reason, his effect, he has a secondary effect that activates. I excavate the top card of my deck, and if it's a trap card, I immediately add it to my hand. If not, send it to the graveyard. So that's also beneficial. Also run the Phantom Knight Curse. This card is really good for getting over big monsters that the deck just can't handle. It basically targets one monster, lower his attack to 0, and negate his effects. So basically just makes it a lot easier to get over monsters. That's really difficult for this deck. And that's one of the deck's biggest problems is getting over big monsters, even though, you know, I 6-0'd Blue Eye. But we're not going to talk about that.
Wow. Okay.
Moving on.
That was funny.
Cat Shark. This is another card that can help you get over big beaters. I rarely summon him now. I used to when I first made the deck, but it's at the point where I established board, and it's just like, if you don't stop me, you're going to die. Cat Shark, basically, his effect is he has an original water type attribute underneath him. He cannot die by battle. His other effect is detach one during either player's turn, target one XYZ rank 4 or lower, and double his original attack. So basically, he can pump Frog up to 42.
Or himself, right?
So, himself, but it's original attack. So he'll be 1,000 no matter what, even with the Starboy boost of 500 attack and defense for any water monster, which kind of sucks because these two are unaffected by monster, so they do not get a boost. I wish they did. It would be a lot better if they got a boost.
That's fine. That's fine.
And I do run one Dante. Why I run this card? Not gonna lie to you, I don't like Burning Abyss.
Fuck you.
I hate going against the deck.
Fuck you.
Just for the simple fact, I'm not afraid because I've beat Burning Abyss before. It's just the fact that they're annoying because everything they do is reaction. So whether they detach, discard, tribute, send, it's gonna go off. And I'd rather not have a grind out game with them. I'd rather just winter cherry the hell out of them and just be done with it. I hate the deck. It's bad enough they get a Link monster.
Fuck you. You have one.
Yeah, this isn't about me.
No.
Anyway, I just rather not deal with it. I might change the extra deck up a little bit, maybe later, but for right now, I feel like this is the best deck. I might add Minerva in here. I did have a double Helix. I took it out. Spirals are pretty much dying out at this point. I can take Spirals now. I used to be scared of them. Sleeper used to put so much fear in this deck's heart.
And I feel spell is that one.
Obviously,
Who gives a shit?
Sleeper's in a wheelchair right now.
Who knew that field spell was getting hit? Everybody.
And the last card of the extra deck, ABC Buster, of course, dealing with ABC players for the Winter Cherries target. Pretty much, don't deal with it. You take care of Buster, and where are you going to go into? A bunch of XCs? That's fine. Alright, we're back, and I'm going to show you guys the extra deck. So I chose every card in here as a very competitive
point of view
side. I feel like should be able to handle any type of situation that comes towards you. So we're going to start off with the ultimate Winter Cherries. With this card, you can, during the player's turn, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, discard it. You reveal one card of your extra deck. Your opponent, you get to look through your opponent's extra deck, banish all copies of your reveal. So that's why I had certain Busters and Dantes in my extra deck. 2 Gamma Seals. I was running 3. I feel like you really don't need 3 because, again, Toad recycles any water monster. So if you Kaiju, this goes to graveyard. Toad dies by some reason, you recycle the same Kaiju back into your hand.
Busted.
It is busted. That's retarded that it does that.
Pretty much unlimited Kaijus.
Pretty much.
Pretty gay.
I play the Darius statue. This is the reason why I won locals. People were not expecting this card. I hit people with this card, and they just literally did not have a response. They tried beating over it. They tried blowing up the field twice. It just didn't work out. I had too many outs in my back row. They just could not handle the pressure, and they were locked out of the game. It's bad enough being locked out of the game that you can't spend something, now you have to deal with a totally awesome on the field with a Starboy, with the dupe block. It's just you just can't win, you know. I run one Imperial Order. I don't run that many spell cards in this deck, as you can see, so Imperial Order would be just good to negate all spell cards. Basically just shuts people down. Dracos, they cry to this card.
Yeah.
They cry. I put in mistakes back in here because even though the only card I really search with is Dupe, Dupe also can search, well, can recycle from the graveyard, so I don't always have to get it from the deck. So other than that, this card is amazing. It shuts down pendulums. It shuts down pretty much any deck that searches. I'd rather run this than run with a Droll and Lock, because Droll and Lock you can only use one time. Yes, you stop them from a turn, but what happened next turn? I'd rather have a floodgate that they're gonna have to respond to. I don't gotta worry about. It basically just this card can auto win you the game. So I don't see why anyone would not run this. I also run 2D barriers. I was thinking about bumping it up to 3, but I'm gonna leave it at 2 because this deck can really handle pretty much any deck is thrown this way. I've gone against certain decks that just you would think that this deck would lose to, and surprisingly, this deck has just literally just toppled its way to the top. I've undefeated people. I've topped locals multiple times. I've been to regionals. I haven't been there lately, but hopefully in April I'll be back
So stay tuned for the April regionals in PA. Stay tuned to that shit, my nigga.
Stupid. Anyway, 2 heavy dust storms, back row removal. I was running Unending Nightmare. Again, I pay too much life points in this deck. Unending Nightmare is a very great card, but I'd rather just pop your back row without having to pay life points. And it's a trap, so it's reactive to the Paleozoics. All the traps are, so it's, it works out. And the last one, Bread of the Butter, Soul Drain.
Skill Drain, Soul Drain.
I put this in here. The only card that really gets hurt by this card is Rodent Totem, but at the end of the day, I'd rather my Rodent Totem be hurt and I can still bring back my Paleozoics because they're still considered trap cards in the graveyard until they hit the field when they become monsters. So, especially the way the meta shifted nowadays, Light Swarms, Burning Abyss, any pretty much graveyard deck is going to lose to this card. And it's just going to shut you out completely. So these are the cards I've chosen to make this side deck the best side deck out there. Please like and subscribe to Bastard Nation, and stay tuned for the truth.
Anything you have to say to the other people that want to make a Paleo deck?
If you're going to make Paleozoic deck, I would say make sure every card in your deck is going to do something. If it's not going to benefit this deck, if it's not going to get you to your next card, don't even bother doing it. Also, look at the meta, see what the meta is shifting up to be, and try to combat that the best way you possibly can. But other than that, just ribbit.
Ribbit. Alright. Anywho, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button down below. Also, remember, if you're not a part of the Bastard Nation, hit that subscribe button because you know you're bastard in your way. Catch you later. Much love. As always. Bye-bye.
From your home, get 50, must make more dough. We will be shaking your flow. Come against me, that's a no-no.